We got some of the post-millennial. Seattle mayor reveals $47 million payroll tax deficit as companies flee the Emerald City.
Shocking.
I wonder why. Last week, the mayor of Seattle announced the Emerald City collected $47 million less in payroll taxes last year as large companies continued to flee the liberal oasis. According to Seattle Times, the mayor of Seattle City Council expected the tax haul to be $400 million. Instead, the city brought in only $360 in 2024.
That's 10% difference.
That is tremendous.
Wow.
Now, people got to understand, cities are organizations. And a lot of people like to say public and private, but just understand organization can be used to describe the umbrella of what everything is. That means you need income. You're going to spend money. Money's got to come in. Now, governments use this tactic I call pointing a gun in your face and demanding the money from you. Tax collection. Other people have different words to describe it, but we'll just describe it that way. Seattle, when they do this, what happens? People gladly pay it. Seattle city government says everybody pays their taxes. The businesses say, yes, sir, thank you, sir. But when someone throws a brick through your window, sets fire to your cars, right, or in other ways just terrorizes you for your political beliefs, they're going to say, maybe we should go somewhere else.
Right, yeah.
And they do. Like Delaware now, Seattle's experiencing the same thing. There's a funny meme. They said, show me a ghetto and I'll show you a town run by Democrats.
I don't think that's necessarily true, because if you think about like South
tendencies,
Appalachia,
right? Actually,
West Virginia was blue for
West Virginia.
long
Yep,
time.
until recently.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and even right now, again, we were talking about this earlier with the Uber laws. West Virginia is still fighting to counter.
Yeah,
bro, I got to tell you, under the Democrat leadership,
hold on, I'm triggered because this is a conservative talking about that drives me crazy. There are no Republican cities either. Like all cities are run by Democrats. So some Democrats run it better and some Democrats run it worse. The only example they can think of is Giuliani. Mm-hmm. And in any other context, people call him a rhino. Pro gay rights,
Jim Justice
abortion. Go ahead.
Was a Democrat governor until 2017 when he switched to the Republican Party.
Sure. I'm just talking about cities, bro. I don't think Michigan has any cities really.
So the important thing to understand is you go to any city, you will see pride flags. It is not an issue of the Republicans don't win there, or it is that these cities are leftist.
Yes, correct.
Right.
By nature.
Right. And so it is that ideology. I guess that's the point. It's obviously there are some Republican areas that are not as good.
But I think it kind of misses the point, because if all cities are leftist, which is, I think everyone agrees, why are some cities thriving and some aren't? So if they have something in common, it's some secondary characteristic that's going to, make some work and some work better than others. Why is look at Seattle and then look at like Miami. Like I think Miami does have
Miami's red.
But look at like Austin's doing a lot better.
Miami's red.
Sure. Austin's doing a lot better than Seattle does.
Is it because
and Austin's run by communists.
The apparatus around those cities.
These are questions to ask. These are questions
I think it's actually simple. The density of the left. Austin is mixed.
Yeah,
Seattle's far left.
That could be it.
Miami is far Republican.
Mm-hmm. But that could be it as well.
And I think the important way to look at it is when you make the surface level joke, the meme, show me a ghetto, I'll show you a city run by Democrats. That's a very surface level way of understanding. Leftist ideology leads to chaos and destruction. Sure. Right ideology leads to creation.
There's the joke about what the socialists used before they used candles, light bulbs.
Yeah.
And I got to say something else though that surprised me, and this is kind of a detour that there's no point, but to your hometown, I went to Chicago for my birthday last year, and all my friends were like, good luck not getting shot. It was perfectly safe. I didn't realize the violence is very localized.
Yeah.
Like the places I was at, I forgot where they were. We were out at 2 a.m. It was perfectly fine.
Which neighborhood do you know?
It's like northwest of the museums.
Well, there's a lot of. I mean, if you're talking about like the Gold Coast or like slightly northwest of downtown,
yeah,
then you're in a well-off area.
That's where it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my understanding. That's
go to
typical.
80%.
I'm not arguing with you, but I'm just saying,
no. I'm saying I think you went to the one safe place.
But I think the difference is in New York, the crime is on the subway. It's going everywhere. And in LA, my friend was staying in Beverly Hills, and they warned her when you get out of the hotel, just don't have stuff in your car. I was surprised at Chicago's reputation. We walked around a lot, that it felt a lot safer than New York, where I walked around. That surprised me.
Do you feel like the violence used to be hyper-local in Manhattan to certain places?
No.
But now it's worse everywhere? After the 70s, maybe like 90s?
There was no, this is going to sound crazy. For a long period in time, violence in New York was not a thing. It was like you hear about it, but like you were perfectly safe.
Post 70s.
Yeah, I say post 80s because Giuliani came in 93.
Right?
Yeah, like maybe like 95. Because when he first came in, I remember being on the subway. You couldn't listen to your headphones because there would be groups of kids that go through subway to subway. They'd shake you down and they'd rob you. And it was just
that's Chicago.
But maybe that's Chicago. I'm not arguing with that. My point is, but that went away.
When
New York was super safe.
Yeah.
When did you go to Chicago? Like
Last summer.
I don't know. I think you just must have had a nice experience because
I did. I was shocked.
Yeah, Chicago. I would argue is having grown up there versus living in New York for 5 years. New York was ridiculously safe compared to Chicago.
Yeah.
When I would so I lived on the Southwest side and I'd go to bed and I don't know, maybe like a couple maybe once every couple months you hear gunshots ringing out, someone gangbangers shooting somebody nearby. We all knew somebody, like the high school fight, people brought guns.
Okay.
My buddy, I was on the phone with him when I was like 16, and he lived on 63rd in California, and he said, yo, I saw two guys dragging a carpet with legs sticking out.
Oh, my God.
The next day, they found a dead body in a carpet.
Sure.
So I've been shot at randomly for no reason. Me and my brother were driving off of Independence on 290. We took a left, and a guy just pointed his car, a gun at, bang, and fired at us.
I'm not at all in
Randomly
any
for no
way
reason.
like diminishing your lived experience. I'm just saying that I was surprised as a New Yorker how safe I felt in Chicago this past summer.
The point I'm trying to make is not that my lived experience is being diminished. It's that you had a comfortable experience in a wealthy neighborhood. But if you actually went to any of the actual regular neighborhoods, you probably would have been like, holy crap, this place is...
I noticed in Manhattan,
New York.
like around the 2010s, that the violence started to spread everywhere.
Yes,
even in
that's
places
when de Blasio.
I used to think, yes, exactly.
The,
It was by design.
the videos out of Chicago where they like rammed the department stores, the cars, and then run in and steal everything and run out. I mean, my friends who live there say it's worse than they've ever seen it.
Is that right?
Yeah. That they have to they're building barricades in front of buildings now.
Wow.
Because cars are trying to ram the department stores. 13-year-old kids are running around areas with guns.
No.
That's
Bro.
Mad Max. That's
I got to tell you, like,
crazy.
having been all over New York, I was never worried at all. It was laughable.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, I as a New Yorker, former New Yorker, I was surprised that there would be localized violence in Chicago because in New York it's not localized. That there would be any safe areas given Chicago's reputation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because like the death rate, you hear the death rate, how many shootings
and
happen
also
every-
all the trajectories are the wrong direction. I'm like, all right, this is going to be a nightmare. And I'm
Well,
like, it's fine. I'll even pull up where I stayed. I'll tell you right now.
A really interesting thing about Chicago is when they had their mayoral election for Brandon Johnson.
Oh God.
I overlaid the
What's
election.
his approval rating? Like 13%?
It's less than that.
Okay.
It's almost zero. When I pulled up the electoral map for who voted for whom, I also pulled up racial demographics by neighborhood, and guess what? It's a 1-for-1 overlay,
Is that right?
except for one location in the city, Loyola University. So when you look at a neighborhood, this is the funniest thing. If the neighborhood was white, they voted for the white guy in first place. If the neighborhood was black, everyone they voted for was black. I'm not kidding. If you look at a black neighborhood in Chicago, so here's what I did. I said, here are the top candidates. You had Brandon Johnson. You had two other people. You had a Hispanic guy and a white guy. I highlighted the electoral map over the black neighborhoods. The top 3 people who got all the votes were all black. People who didn't even register as top candidates were the second and third place in the black neighborhoods. In the Hispanic neighborhood, the Hispanic guy was in first place. In the white neighborhood, except for Loyola, where they voted for Brandon Johnson, and that's why he won. Because the leftist white people voted for the leftist black man, combined with the black vote, put him over the edge. And the white middle-class people voted for the white guy, and he didn't get enough. Wow. Brandon Johnson was a complete disaster for the city.
Even worse than Laurie Foote.
And it's only going to get worse. The city will never improve.
So I stayed at 862 North Ashland Avenue.
North Ashland.
Yeah. I don't know what the area that's called. It was an amazing time.
Maybe they're just afraid of you.
Well, I am,
Were you wearing this outfit?
they're not locked in there with Chicago with me. Everywhere it goes. I fucked it up. Screwed it up. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What area is that called?
Westtown? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah.
Are you surprised that I had a good experience, or you're not surprised?
Kind of surprised.
Okay.
Although I don't know how much time I've ever spent directly in that area. It's right by, I think if you were to go, I think if you went from that spot a bit south, it would get a little dicier.
Okay.
But, I don't know. Sometimes these things change. You've got. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to have the gangs try to murder me.
Sure.
Or the people I know in Chicago, so I don't usually get into it. I was explaining to the guys from Vice because they did documentary series in Chicago. I was like, they came back to the office in Brooklyn and they were like, look at this thing we're working on, and they showed me an early cut or whatever, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what's your guys' security plan? Those gangs will murder you. And they were like, no, it's fine. And I was like, you embed with a gang in Chicago, you put their words, you say their name, you put the words from your mouth. Mm-hmm. They say, that's the guy, and they're going to kill you. And they will. So a big thing people need to understand about the gangs in Chicago is that a lot of the violence is based on honor and respect. And so it is known to those of us who grew up there, if a documentary film crew embedded with a Chicago gang, you have just told the other gangs, I'm at war with you. I am giving them power, press, money, resources.
Validation.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. We are making them the big name in town.
Yes.
They kill you. And so we had, I forgot the guy's name. Remember the guy we had on, who said his camera guy got shot?
Yeah.
Getting unloaded on?
Buckingham.
Yeah. Brandon Buckingham. He was covering the gangs and they found out. So they came up and they unloaded on him and his crew, and his camera guy got shot.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Was he killed?
He didn't die.
No.
Okay.
Thankfully.
But I always tell people, like, so anyway, my point is maybe in the Uncensored show I'll mention a little bit more, but Chicago's a crazy place. It's the kind of place where you think you're in a nice neighborhood and a car pulls up and they say, what you is?
They said that to me. And I said, you know who I is? They go, Michael Malice.
If you say that, they might laugh. But they're saying, what gang are you with?
Yeah.
And they got gang signs for all of them. It's kind of wild. When I left Chicago, I didn't see the gang sign stuff anymore. Even in LA. Chicago, it's like there's so many gangs. There's so many different gang signs, and everybody knows all of them. And then dumb kids goof off and throw the gang signs up and then find themselves in a hospital. It's crazy out there.
It's like, like calling Bloody Mary.
If you wore the wrong color clothes, you were in a gang. So it's like if you wore, it was always a combination of black with something else. Black and yellow, you're in trouble, bro. You're not an anarchist. I forgot which gang that was. But they'd see you and they'd be like, why are you wearing those clothes here?
I remember D.L. Hughley. I worked on 2 of his books, and I learned a lot from him. And he talked about when he was growing up in South Central, they had some kind of bill or what do you call it when they vote on it, referendum, or the governor, basically they pulled like money for school buses. So you had to walk to school. And he's like, I had to walk through a Crip neighborhood and a Blood neighborhood. So like no matter what I did, you know, I was SOL.
Don't wear blue, don't wear red.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I've had friends who got roughed up because they were wearing clothes they weren't supposed to be wearing. Like just literally like a 15-year-old kid wearing gym shorts and a jersey, and they pull up and they run up to him and they start punching him.
I remember that being very prevalent in the 90s, but you think it's still like that in Chicago right now?
I don't know about right now.
There's certain neighborhoods where if you don't wear a beanie, it's game over.
Yeah, we're in one right now. Yeah.
There are neighborhoods in Chicago where 40 guys will be standing on each street corner, and if you walk past them, they will kill you. I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend.
Wait. So literally like on the corners, like a little mob?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's areas of Chicago. These areas have names where. So I once, when I moved to the suburbs when I was like 18, I met a bunch of the guys out there and I became friends with some skateboarders. And I told one of my buddies, like, let's go skate in Chicago. And he's like, let's ride. Got in my car. So I drove through one of these neighborhoods. And there's on every corner of every block, there's probably between 20 and 40 guys armed, waving guns at you. And I'm just driving with my eyes half glazed, like, I don't care. I've been there, done that. They're screaming. They start running at the car. They're pulling their pants up. They're pointing the guns at us. My friend's just freaking out. He's like having a panic attack. Like, why are we here, man? I'm like, dude, they're not going to waste their time. Like, they don't care, you know? But
maybe they care a little.
Well, no, it's like if you're walking in that neighborhood, you know, to be honest, it's not always like that. If you walked into that area and walked up to those guys, they'd probably start busting out laughing, rob you, and then say, get out of here, white boy. What are you doing? But if you went up there with any kind of, hey, man, you can't do this to me, then they'd be like, we'll show you what we can do to you.
Yeah.
And so I had a friend, this girl from my neighborhood, walked into one of these neighborhoods when she was like 17, and like a 60-year-old black guy walked up to her and stopped her, physically grabbed her and said, young lady, you're going to turn around right now or you're going to die. Like, that's how these neighbors are like. It's all racially segregated.
Yeah.
I grew up right next to Newburgh. Newburgh, it's like a small city in New York.
Oh, yeah.
So like
cool.
that was where when I used to do really bad things, we'd go to Newburgh to get those things. And just imagine like early 2000s, 4 super pale goth looking kids rolling through Newburgh, to get like a dime back. But it was fine. We never had a problem. I think only once was one guy chased out with like an automatic gun.
Well, this is the thing about cartels. When you know why you're safe in Cancun or Tijuana? You go down there, you don't got to worry about crime. American tourists. Cartels run these things. If American tourists get hurt, American tourists stop coming.
Right. Yeah.
You're part of the
So there was.
I grew up in Bensonhurst, and back in the day, it was Italian mafia neighborhood. And even though New York at that time was not a safe place, you better believe Bensonhurst was very, very safe.
There's this story about a hotel casino in somewhere in like the Yucatan part of Mexico or whatever, and there were 2 female tourists who got kidnapped and killed, and then the American tourists stopped going. Immediately, all the business dried up. So the cartel found the 2 guys who did it and flayed them alive.
Jesus.
And made sure everybody watched. Everybody knew they did it.
And tourism picked up.
No, it never came back. But they were basically like, we were making millions of dollars per year off of Americans coming and buying our stuff, and you destroyed everything. Right. And so they made sure everyone knew. There's the thing about the cartels, man, operating in the United States that's so freaky. Yeah. When Anonymous was big in like 2010, there were a couple of Mexican anonymous guys who were trying to go after the cartel, saying like, "We'll expose you." A few days later, their bodies were hung from a highway sign, just blood dead.
Right. They just took off that lady's head. What was she, a chief of police or a mayor?
Oh, right.
And then put it on top of her cop car or something.
They put on her car?
Yes. Yep. That was just like, how many assassinations happened last year of a presidential candidate? 20?
It's crazy.
Wait, in Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all the time.
20?
They assassed like 20, maybe 30.
36 people.
You're
36
right.
people. 36.
Maybe we should be importing more Mexicans.
The
That's what I'm hearing.
The thing about the cartels, though,
20?
This is what people got to understand. People are not crazy for the most part. Meaning, sometimes you will encounter a gangbanger in Chicago who's like, I'm going to kill this person. Right. There's one gang I won't name where their initiation requirement is that you murder somebody. And if you live in their territory as a child and you're growing up, you have to join the gang. So what they do is they go to this kid and they say, we got somebody, here's a gun, go do it, you'll get out when you're 18. And I actually know people who have gone through that. Yeah. And they go to juvie until they're 18, they get out and they got 2 deaths.
Cartels do the same. They enlist really young. So like they're just making nihilists, and violence is like breathing to them.
But for the most part, if you walk up to the gangs, they're going to be like, are you buying? You going to make money for me? Right. And so it's not always like, that's why I'm saying like, they'll just rob you. If you walk up to one of these neighborhoods or these guys on the corner, they're going to be like, free money. Thanks, bro. They'll take your stuff. But they don't want trouble. So they're going to say, get out of here now. Leave.
Yeah.
Unless you come up with an attitude or act like you have a right to be there, then they might be like, okay, we'll show you your rights.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.